Hi everybody, welcome to the stream. Today is Monday and the beginning of another week. I know last week I've been gone for most of the week, but that was because we were helping a friend with a big web project. So now that that's done, we're kind of back to our normal schedule. Although I will admit we're probably going to be doing... It's probably going to change a little bit in the future. There's some things in the pipeline. I can't really disclose much yet, but we'll see. I don't know if that means I'll be streaming as much, but you know, it's... We'll have to see, right? Like, stuff happens all the time. But regardless, we're here today, and we're going to be trying to do even more of the Chapter 4 boss stuff. We're actually going to begin it today. So, last week we just kind of talked about it, and we went through some miscellaneous, stuff, but now we're back here. So let's first go, let's pull up our main branch, and let's go ahead and just sync it real quick with the remote. Basically, we're going to come up with a... Oh, this window moved? Can you go, please? But yeah, we're gonna be working on... Okay, I guess you're gonna be like this now. That's fine. Okay, we're gonna be working a new branch today. Let's go ahead and just sync this branch. Fetch everything so we're up to date. Okay. Let's go ahead and pull all the changes. So, over the last few days, we've been working on a bunch of... God, it did it again. We've been working on a bunch of miscellaneous features, so we've been merging, and now we're going to be really looking into implementing a new boss for Chapter 4. So, I briefly talked about it last week. Let's go ahead and get new branch, and we're going to base it off of master. I don't know why it wants to base it off of whatever that commit was. But yeah, this is going to be, I'm just going to call it Shadow Boss, because I don't know what their actual names are. Hi there, Moros. Welcome. Welcome. So yes, the Shadow Boss. So I was thinking a little bit more about how I wanted to go about in implementing these, because essentially what happens is the AI gets to use all the abilities that the player has. And so initially, all the abilities in the game are coded with lambda functions that contain both a target casting position and a player pointer. Now, obviously, if we're going to involve a monster, if we want to reuse this for both places, then we would have to adjust this to not accept a player pointer, but accept like an entity. That way it could be both a player or a monster. And at the same time, anything that we make in entity, or that we want to use in entity, we have to make this like same function or a reciprocated function for monsters as well. So I'm thinking, is that the right play, or is it better to just hand code everything for both sides? Because sometimes there are weird edge cases, but either way we're gonna have to do a lot of work. So I figured at the very least we probably make it so these actions contain both the code for the monster and the player. That way the behaviors mostly match. Let's say in the future that we change like how the fireball ability worked, right? Like the firebolt. Let's say I want to just like, maybe I added like some extra special effects, or maybe it changes, like, maybe we're gonna change the ability completely. If I have to do it in two places, it's gonna be really annoying for me to like navigate back and forth. It would kind of be nice if I could just see it all in one place and do everything in one place and code the specific behaviors that might be only for monsters or only for players. I think that would make sense. And in traditional fashion, I would like to start with the warrior because it is canonically our first class we ever worked on in the game. So For everything except the auto attack, we are going to be making or converting all of these. So I think the first thing I want to do is I want to convert all these action types to be standard function entity instead. That way we get compile errors across the board indicating that these need to be updated. Hi there, Kyle. Good to see you again. Yes. Happy Monday. Welcome. So yes. So we start by replacing this with an entity that we pass in. And by doing this, a couple of things are going to change. For one, we're going to have to assume that both the players and the monsters now have the same functions, because an entity is basically a wrapper for both types. Hi, are you running this game with its own engine? It uses the OLC Pixel game engine as a framework, because the OLC Pixel game engine is a C++ framework, essentially. And yeah, we just build off of that. But all of the like game systems, yes, had to be designed by hand, because there's no notion of like an actual game or like game state engines or machines or anything like that. So we still have to design pretty much the entire game engine. So yeah, I guess the first thing I'll do, and the easiest thing I can do, is replace all these player pointers with entity. And then from there we can start deciding how we want to discriminate between like specifically monster and specifically player. Because there will be some things where it just doesn't make sense to call it as a monster or a player. There's also certain mechanics that players have that monsters don't yet, so at the same time this will be a little tricky. So first is the get state. One thing I'm probably going to add is like an is monster or is player. I might already have that actually. Let's see, is friendly. Is that what that, does that actually work? Let me see. Is friendly. Is that literally what it is? Let's see. Because that sounds right. Like if it's friendly, it's a player thing. If it's not friendly, it's a monster. So yes, if it's a player, we return friendly, otherwise we return non-friendly. So basically, we're going to ignore state. In this case, as long as a monster can act, then we're allowed to do this thing. So I guess, is friendly. I don't know if this is like, is this an enum class? No, it's just an enum. So, is friendly, okay, friendly is true and non-friendly is false. So, funny enough, this function actually, well, it returns a boolean, right? So, no, it returns the friendly type. It just so happens that is friendly returns correctly if I do true or false, which is kind of cool. Now, and the AND operator resolves before OR, so if we want the same logic, we would have to wrap these. And then we would have to make one. So we'll do another OR here, and we'll make another one specifically for monsters, where it just says E dot or not E is friendly, although it's implied, right? If we get an OR there, it's like, so if it is friendly, otherwise, right? Whatever other condition. So it'd be like, but then we also know this has to be true, because we don't care about whether or not a monster like can move, right? Unless, so it's like, if can move, can act. I don't know what I specifically used. I used something like that. So we're gonna make like a can move function specifically for enemies. And then down here we have has enchant. So enchants really only apply to players, like monsters can't equip things, so naturally they can't have these enchants for all the modifiers. So when we make this, if it's a player, then we check for the enchant. If it's not a player, we really don't care. And then we have this block timer variable, which again is only for a player. Like, I guess a monster, like a monster would also need this, I guess. So there is that. The question becomes, do I create a block timer variable in monster and reference the right one? I guess I kinda do. So we could go that route. So that's something to think about. There's just a lot to think about here, right? And like set state, we don't have states in monsters, so that would be like a no-op for monsters too. So a couple of things we have to re-engineer as we go through this, but let's go ahead and pull up the entity source code, and we'll go ahead and start trying to implement these. So firstly, we have get state. Now, get state for players will just be the actual state itself, but for monsters, I guess we'll always just assume the normal state. We can't really, like, relate it to anything else. So, this will return, I guess this is an enum. It's just called, no, this is a namespace into a state. It's kind of weird. The enum is in the namespace called state. Hi-ish, good to see you again. Yes, welcome. So yes, get state is a getter that will return. If it's a player, we will return the correct value because we'll just cast it. So we'll say return, I think you just type get player pointer and then get state, I think, is what we would need here. Hopefully. I think this just doesn't exist yet, so it's complaining, but that is essentially what we want. Otherwise, we just return the normal state because a monster doesn't really have a state. Okay, so that's what that looks like. We're gonna be doing a lot of this today, so let's open up the header. And then here. Great. Okay, so this is still complaining for some reason. Entity has no member entity. That's weird, right? Like, I'm getting this error across the board. Is the header? Oh, yeah, we just forgot a semicolon, so it won't compile. Is it happy now? It is. Okay, so getState has been implemented for entities, and as we clear these up, more and more of these will be reused, so we won't have to do as much work after we get the initial functions in there. So can move, this one's important, because for players, you can't move for a variety of reasons. We can implement a similar thing for monsters as well, but the only thing I can think of that we can't move right now is when we are casting a spell. And I guess if the monster has friction, I don't know if we have access to the friction variable, but it would be nice to find out. So can move. Can move. So let's go return a boolean, whether or not the monster can move. The player already has a can move function, so we can literally just use it for that. Player can move. We also have a can act. But, for monsters, it's going to be a little different. And then if we get here, then we're gonna say this is supposed to be unreachable. So I guess we would be implementing an actual can move function. So we can actually just use call class function instead, which essentially is that as a macro, what I just wrote. And then we get to just implement it for monsters. And just make sure, yeah, we have to add get state here. Also, this thing has no clue about what the state namespace is. So we have to add that too. Let's see here. So the state namespace, I assume it's just under state. Like, why wouldn't it be, right? Is it happy now? Does it know what that namespace is? It looks like it does, so it's happy now. Okay. So we have to implement can move, but for monsters, because that doesn't exist yet. So let's go to the monster header. Let's add a new function called can move. It's supposed to return a boolean. And then we get to define what makes it so a monster can or cannot move. And again, the only one I can really think of is if the monster is casting. Oh, hold on. Did I just see can move just generally here? I do, look, we do have a can move function, so we've defined that. So we check if the monster's knocked up, we check if the monster's alive, we check if the stun timer's nullified, and we make sure there's no current cast. So perfect, this is exactly what we're looking for. So that actually already existed without me knowing. That's fun. So then the entity function should be good. This should be a boolean. Is it not a boolean over here? Okay, okay, okay. Oh, we have 2 of these. I don't need that. Checking if the monster's... God, because it's called knockup timer. You're silly. Okay, next up is the has enchant function. Again, monsters don't have enchants because they can't equip items, so this is gonna be false always for monsters. Also, why isn't this giving? It's incompatible with... Oh, I thought I changed it. Get state, can move is constable. Did I not call it can move? Oh. Okay. So yeah, remove that breakpoint. So has enchant is also going to return a boolean. For players, it will just return the correct value. It'll return player has enchant. Has enchant. And otherwise, if it's a monster, we'll return false. We never have an enchant unless we're a player. And then I just had to add the declaration in the header file. So that takes care of that. And then we have add shield. Oh, has enchant requires a parameter. Looks like it's a string. On standard string ref. Enchant. And then we just pass enchant into there. And that is going to be inserted there. Perfect. And then we have add shield. So we do have to add a shield to monsters as well, because this, well, no, that's not true. Because this, we only add a shield to things that have the enchant, so I guess we don't need to actually add the shield mechanic yet. So again, add shield will be a no-op for monsters. I feel like we should document that though, because if we just say add shield and it doesn't do anything, like this is where it gets tricky, right? Because we're going to be adding behaviors that split off depending on if it's a monster or player. How do I know I'm not going to be run into this trap later where I'm like, oh, I added a shield to the monster using the add shield function is actually a no-op. How am I going to actually know that it doesn't do anything? I feel like this is like kind of a design flaw, because it's like I'm calling add shield, but realistically it's not going to do it it's only going to do it for a player. Like I could make it so the logic for it is in here, like if it's friendly then add a shield. That would make sure that like if something is a no-op, we're not gonna miss that little detail. Like, if we wanted it for both players and monsters, we use the entity. If it's not for specifically a player or specifically for a monster, we should actually define that in the code. That way it's visible the next time we go into this. Like, think, if I look at this code 6 months later, how am I gonna remember that add shield doesn't do anything for monsters, right? Then we're just going to end up with bugs, which doesn't seem smart to go about it that way. So I think that's the play. We need to add something to say like, get player from entity or something like that. Get monster from entity, right? I think that would be the best approach. So let's do that. Okay. So essentially, entity stores a variant, so we just have to cast it to the right type depending on what we're trying to do. So yeah, just thinking ahead with like the actual architecture of this, I don't want to run into issues later where I forget something isn't quite the way it like when I think it doesn't work, I'm like, oh, I didn't implement it. Why didn't I implement it? I did that on purpose before. It's all implied behaviors we really don't want to hide. the details of. Okay. So we're gonna make a... I think I'm just gonna call it like 2-player or something. So like 2-player returns a player pointer. And 2monster returns a 2monster pointer. And then if we just like, if we convert it and it's the wrong type, it'll just error out. Like we should know in advance which one to convert to, and we'll use like the isFriendly to determine that. So I think that's the way to go. Yes, I do like that. So we'll do it this way. These two don't modify internal state, so we'll add const to those. Then we'll add those functions in here. And then we'll just define them. So we return get with whatever the type is supposed to be. Like so. These are supposed to be members of entity. And then we get to use it like that. So if we go back to this code now, before we can add a shield, because it doesn't exist on entity, we need to say if isFriendly, then we know it's a player, so we're going to cast this to a player. So we're just going to say e.toPlayer. And since it returns itself, we can directly call add shield from it, like so. And I think that will just work out a lot better. It makes it clear that, hey, this only exists for a player, and we're not going to do this for a monster. I like that paradigm a lot better than just no-opping it on one side but not the other. Okay, it doesn't like this though. What is this? Why not? Object has type qualifiers not compatible. Object type is const player. Oh, this returns a const pointer. I mean, the pointer itself, like what it's pointing to, should be const, but the, I guess the value of the pointer should be const, not the actual pointer itself. The containing object. So let's flip that. Yeah, just the value of the pointer is const. And that should make it usable now, in theory. In theory it makes it, but in practice, I don't think it's working. Oh, okay, there we go. Yes. So then we have get max health. So we know it's a player, so I guess in that same hand, we can go as far as using the player's max health here too. So I would do something like this as well. Because we only care about the player's max health. Although having the max health available for both sounds useful in the long run. You also notice we use these player-defined variables here. So like, here's another issue. If we adjust the balance of the player, it also adjusts the balance of a monster, which is not quite what we want. We want to be able to separate the two and say, okay, use this variable if you are a player and use another variable if you're a monster. So we're going to have to implement that as well for anywhere where we use player variables. So it's going to be like, if friendly, we're using this as the block time. Otherwise, we're going to use a completely different variable. And in this case, we're going to be using a monsters variable. So the way this is going to work is we need to make some kind of macro that then takes the value, converts it to a monster, sets that as the variable m, and then calls config float, which is another macro to get the config value based on a name we provide. So for example, what we would probably do is we'd make a variable called warrior right-click ability duration, but inside of monster strategy instead. So we haven't actually made this monster yet, but essentially this first monster is going to be called like warrior plus thief, I believe. So we have warrior plus thief. And I know last week we just made a sprite sheet called that, so we know we can use that as the file name. And in here we're just going to throw in like the name of the variable here. Now I don't know if this actually works, because I think what we're going to have to do is say like warrior, like make an object called warrior, make another object called right click ability, and then put duration in here, because I think the prompt drilling is not going to work out. I don't have a bot for him. If there's a certain command you need, I could probably tell you what the information you're looking for. So we need to look at how the prop drilling works for... I'm using prop drilling because I'm like React pilled brain right now from working with my friend's project. I'm just like prop drilling, god. Anyways, OC util data file. So in here, when we use get property, which is like our selector, we are allowed to use dots, but then that makes me wonder, what happens if we have dots in the actual property name? I was interested in your dev setup. Oh, I see. So I have 3 ultra-wide monitors. They are each 5120 by 1440. They are side by side of each other, which means I effectively have 6 like standard or high definition monitors side by side, and I just move my mouse around to adjust them. This is using Visual Studio Insider edition, which is like going to be the 2026 edition eventually. This is running on Windows 11. And yeah. I don't know what else. A lot of people ask me what extensions I use. I use Claudia IDE, which allows you to have like a little background or slideshow thing. You can see like clearly I have a picture of Nico from Love Live in the background, and that changes often. And I also use a theme called, I think, Midnight Dark. No, I use Mystica Dark theme. I used to use Midnight Dark, but I think it's like it like doesn't work on 2026 for some reason. Midnight Purple. So I use Mystica Dark. That's all. This is on latest, so Bleeding Edge. I think there's like one 26 feature I'm using. I forget which one. So like, funny enough, it's actually on that monitor right there in the corner. I have it like picture-in-picture mode, showing another computer I've plugged in. Yeah, I was trying to build it on Linux, and I'm like, I need to upgrade GCC to like 16, which is like bleeding edge, just to get that feature. So yeah, but I'm on latest here. So there's like one 26 feature I'm using, a couple 23 features. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we just have like, this is how you're supposed to drill into like a property that is nested, and the code finds first of dot. So that's like in the argument, but what if the property has dots in it and we try searching for it? We technically can't use get property then because they'll parse it, right? I guess we need to try this code out then. Like, I could sit here and actually like inspect the code, but I think it's better to just try it and see where we're at, and then decide, do we want to modify the data file to handle these situations, or do we want to just go with it and adjust our code? It can go either way. But yeah. Okay, so this is my example project. I'm gonna go ahead, and I usually load up an example file inside this project. Like I have a sample OLC data file ready to go. I just need to find it. Source, repos, example. And in here, there should be... I'm too much of a web dev to use latest, expecting stability. I mean, that's very fair. Because I'm like a hobbyist programmer, I'm just like, I might as well learn like all the latest and greatest just for fun. If it's available to me, I might as well use it. I'm not some multi-million-dollar corporation who has to sit on a code base for stability, right? I like to play with fire. What can I say? Alright. Where is... So, it's like... It's probably just like config or something? No? PGE, maybe output.t... Well, that's output. Do I have like... Here's test.txt. Does that work? Okay, yes. This literally tests it. So, let's add a new value here. Let's call it like, i.am.a.property equals hello, the string hello. I'll go ahead and save that, and we're going to try to drill into here using both get property, which shouldn't work because it parses the dots as individual objects, and then maybe another way with like the array syntax. I feel like the array syntax should work because I don't think they parse by dots. Can I nickname you Icarus? Yes. I fly very close to the sun. Alright, so data file. I think it's all lowercase actually. Data file data. We specify, I think you just specify a blank object. It gets constructed and then you specify a file to open. I think I have to include it first. That would be nice. It's already included. So it's just under the OLC namespace. OLC data file. It might be utils data file, which that's fun. Maybe I'll just add using OLC using namespace OLC utils. And I don't have to do that. Okay, and then we do data file dot open. It's a static function, I believe. So I believe it's capital O. Or not. Oh, wait. Static function. There we go. Load. Read. Okay. So we provide the object, provide a file name, test.txt, and an optional separator token. And then we should be able to actually read it by doing, say, data I am a dot property and getting the string. That should return our string, and then we can also try data.get property, which should not return the string because it should fail. So if I did this, that should not work, and it will probably just throw. So we'll breakpoint here and see what happens. Hey, you actually know! Just a tale as old as time, right? How long are you coding today? So... probably about 2.5 hours. I usually try to end around 4 p.m. local time. It's almost 2 now, so we got a little over 2 hours today. So I'm gonna go next line here, and it does say it returns... I'm gonna get rid of this watch window. It does say it returns hello, so it did read that properly, and I believe this one will actually crash. Or it just returns nothing. Okay, so get string return nothing. As you can see, it didn't quite get any property called that, so I think it is safe to say that we can still access it. We just have to use this and be aware. Which I'm fine with, as long as there's a way that works. That's all we care about. So I'm glad I tested that. Of course, that's vanilla data file. This has been modified since then. I don't think this behavior has changed, though. That was my suspected behavior. I had to explain to my niece, and she's in college right now. Just, I don't know. I don't know where it's from. It's like, is it Greek? Is it Norse? I don't think it's Norse. That's kind of weird. I don't know where it's from, though. I just know. I know the tale. I don't know where it's from. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a property with just the dots here. It'll just simplify things. It'll look better. I don't have to do as much typing. Greek mythology. Oh, okay, good. I was on the right track. So the duration. So we can base it off of the actual warrior's duration for now, and then we can kind of balance it off of up monsters later. Where'd it go? I don't know where it went. Oh, it's over here. Okay, so we're talking about the block ability, specifically the duration. So the duration for a player is 3 seconds long, and so we'll just copy that for now and have that in there. So let's go back to our code. And so now, essentially, we have to make it so if it's friendly, we're going to use the player version, but if it's a monster one, we're going to say monster. See, now I have to write, like, a bunch of functions for this. I don't know if I want to, like, do that. It's kind of annoying. It's like, I would have to copy and paste it, like, 3 times, which is really dumb. I do have another idea, though. Maybe this macro will call the other macro I'm interested in. So it'll be like... maybe I'll make a macro called M, which just defines the monster variable M. And then we just call, like, in here, config float, or, yeah, it's a float. And then we just do this. And then maybe we can see how, like, we're gonna have this, like, pattern now. And as long as these two are the same, maybe we make a macro out of this. So we make another pattern to reduce this even further. So this ends up being, like, it'll just be called, like, config with, the config variable in there. I think that's what we're heading towards. We're just gonna have a macro that calls another macro that calls another macro. And I think we'll be happy with that. So let's try and define this, not here, but in class.h, because all classes use this header file, so we can define the behavior in here. So that's gonna be what our macro looks like. So we're gonna say include, or not include, define config. We're gonna include the variable, and then it's going to output with these two replaced with var, like so. I guess the moral of the story really isn't don't fly too close to the sun, is you should have listened to your father. Seems the monster characters are going to take loads of work given the scope of application throughout the game. It's just, I want to make it easier to have... It's because these monster calls player abilities, and I've already wrote, like, all the behaviors for the player abilities. So it would be nice to reuse them instead of having to copy... Like, the other option is to copy-paste these, replace everything with monster-related stuff, delete what's not necessary, change all the variables, and then I think of it as, like, well, what if, like, the hidden dagger ability completely changes? Now the monster has an old version of it, I have to copy-paste this again and redo it all again, so it's like... If I can localize as much of this as possible in one place, then it just saves me a lot of time if the ability changes in the future, because I'm in here, I'm already defining the behavior for both players and monsters in one location. Make the abilities agnostic of the thing they affect, so you can use them on players, monsters, friendlies. Which would be nice if my game was designed that way, which it's not. Like, monsters and players, for all intents and purposes, are completely separate things in my game engine. They don't share any, like, there's no inheritance structure that says they both, like, share anything. In fact, it's even worse in that I created a class that then links them together with similar related functions on top of what they already have. So, like, to redesign all of this will require major refactoring. It's just so... This stuff is so tightly coupled in the engine right now that would be an even more longer endeavor at this point. This is like a band-aid fix for it. It's supposed to speed up what problems I caused before. Maybe when we rewrite the engine for the second game. Spoilers. There's probably going to be a second game, at least from how I've talked to my game dev. My game designer, so we'll see. Yeah, it's a monkey patch. So, yeah. Anyways, just fun talks about, like, the tech debt that accrues inside of software, right? This is how tech debt accrues in real time. It's like the design decisions of one thing now influence everything else built off of it. And if everything is too tightly coupled and dependent on each other, making any change influences the whole code base. So yes, we live with our tech debt now. This is one I will take for the team. Comprehension debt. I like that. That's a funny name for it. Comprehension debt. I'm gonna start using that. That's great. So how much comprehension debt have you accrued this week, Mr. Vibe Coder? That's cute. I like that. The nice part about 2.0 of anything is you get to take what you learned and not repeat your past mistakes. Exactly. I learned so much from doing this project. There are things I will do again, there are things I will never do ever again, thanks to this project. So I'm glad to see that. So in order to use this, we have to define what M is. Wait, okay, it's using LC key M. We're redefining that. Now M is going to stand for, we're gonna pass in, let's see. We do need to know, we're gonna assume a variable E, I guess? So this is just like the return variable. So again, this is a variable, and we're going to, so we're gonna assume E exists. We're gonna say toMonster, and we get a pointer out of that that then lets us call config float based on what that is. So again, pass var into there like that. Well, it's not gonna be return, right? It's just gonna be this. So that's what that macro looks like. Okay. I think that's correct. No. This is... No. We have to define the variable M. M is supposed to be a monster reference. So we have to do this. Monster ref M is set to e.toMonster. And I guess I could put on a new line. Then we call var there. And that's it. Then we get back something. I guess we omit the semicolon because then we have to do something with that statement. I think that's correct. That's along the lines of what we need to accomplish. Although, if we put it in the middle of some other code, like, will that statement work? Like, because typically we'd use it like this. We'd be like, okay, let's say like int new data is set to config int or something. Some variable. So, if we did this, does that work? Because we would be saying monster m e.toMonster, that's like one statement. Can we do that? Like, is this allowed in C++? No, right? It would have to be a comma, and I think the right side returns? But I think comma is left to right and right side returns. Comma is left to right. Expression E1 is evaluated, result is discarded, and won't be destroyed until the end of the containing full expression. Side effects are completed before evaluation of expression E2 begins. Okay, well let's try it out in our example project. What we're trying to accomplish, because this might be possible. If I can like squeeze that into the code, that'd be nice. 4 or 5 years for a game, 8+ years for an engine. I mean, that highly depends on what you're making, right? Like, I could make Snake in a week. I could make Snake in a day, actually. I could make a simple Snake in a day. I could make 3D Snake in like a week. I could make competitive multiplayer Snake in probably months. Thanks, Moros. Well, there's already a macro called config float, and config float does a lot of things. Config float is this concept of, let me pull up like in here, let's say this monster has a variable called haste buff range, right? The point of this macro, well, it does call get float in here, so I guess we could just use that instead of calling another macro. But the idea is it first looks and sees if it has the property like in the monster directly, because if we look in like a monster configuration file, it's possible to override variables inside of here. This would mean a very specific monster is going to take on these properties using a different monster strategy. So it's like, if it can't find anything in here, then it looks in the next location, which would be the strategy itself. So it's like, then we have some like base behaviors if it can't find specific behaviors, which are defined in here. These are like your defaults, and then in monsters you can define overrides for them. So now we're adding on top of that another system. So direct relevance of shared functions between player and monsters is more of a patch than shared attributes or inheritance. Indeed, and Yeah, it's just one of the choices I went with. Yeah. Because I chose not to do inheritance here for a multitude of reasons, but I get to live with the consequences of that. We get to see some of the benefits and some of the downsides. I think some of the benefits are that I don't have to worry about finding or knowing where the player instance is. I know at all times. I don't have to worry about that. But at the same time, that could easily be circumvented by just having a proper, like, entity management system, which I didn't implement. I only recently implemented a proper effect management system, so I would have to do the same for, like, entities, essentially. If the macro is parameterized, sounds like a job for templated functions. I'm trying to think why I didn't do that. I think there was a reason. But you're right, like, effectively, I could have just done, like, where is it? Like, this could have just been a config, like, flipped. Like, who's to say it couldn't have just been this, right? Effectively the same exact thing. And then even better, I wouldn't have to write, like, individual macros for it. It would just work for all of them. All types that I could potentially ever want. I would have to write, like... I would have to write custom getters for them, but that's just specialized template functions. I think just at the time, because we gotta think, like, this was written 2 years ago or so. My template knowledge was very small. I was at a point where I was, like, very afraid to even touch them, right? So there's that. Like, this probably goes back pretty far. Yeah, I mean, this was changed not too long ago, like the strategy get float stuff, but yeah, it's just old code-based stuff. Like, a lot of these other things have been around since 2024, so I'm gonna guess that this was probably made around 2024. A lot has changed since then, so... But yes, I do agree. That is a much better way to go about it. But what was I testing in here? I wanted to see if that would work. So, let's just say we had... Let's just try to make exactly what I said earlier. So, let's say we were getting a data number from some kind of config file. We just have some kind of macro in here called, like, config float. And we just could pass in, like, data number as the parameter. And we made it the macro right here, containing var. And let's just say, for all intents and purposes, we do an int I or comma in here, and then we do like this is going to return like the number, another number itself, so I'll just say like int, I think comma lets us do both. I can just say like j equals 48 or something, right? So I can do something like that. Does that resolve in here? Let me see. If not, why not, right? So it just says type name is not allowed in here. Which, I mean, fair. Do I thought, can I like wrap it in braces or anything? Is it just because it doesn't have a semicolon? It doesn't look like this is possible at all. Like, even if I did something like this, too many initial, well, now it thinks it's an initializer list, so doesn't look like it likes this like formatting at all. So I don't think this is possible. So I probably have to rethink this, because the way I want to use it is inline, but I really can't do that from here. I mean, is there any reason you're attempting to turn 5 statements into 1? This macro just, the config float variable assumes that the... Well, I'll show you. If we go to the monster ability class, this macro requires 2 variables already defined. It doesn't say it does, but it does. They are called... So, like right here, we're using config float. Oh, I think it just needs monster, but yes. It assumes there is a variable called m. if I were to change this to like f, this function will now complain because it's expecting a variable called f. So you can see, well, let's pretend this is not a thing. I'm just gonna put true here. But yeah, like, okay, I'll just show the actual code, right? But it's, the macro assumes there's a variable called m. Yeah, it wants that there, it passes it in. So because of that, oh, it also assumes a variable called strategy. They're just not in the parameters, but they're assumed to be defined. So those two need to be defined if I want to use that function, at least manually. But I guess I could just call this, if I really wanted to. That might be the route we have to go. And then define them in here by passing along an E, and then breaking them down from there. Because I can get the current strategy based on the current monster strategy that way. And I can get the M from entity as well. So that might be what I have to do here. So, like, we already know the variable E is defined. So we can simply call either that, or I make a different version of these with these parameters defined. But then I might as well use this. So it's like, can I pass in... I just wish this was easier to work with. I guess the way I would do this is I would... Again, I would probably have to make different versions of this in order to make it work. Yeah. Like, I would have to make, like, a config f, a config I, a boolean, right? Like, whatever I come across, I would have to do that. And a config, probably a config string, that one's probably pretty important sometimes. So, it's very likely that this is gonna be the road I take. I'm just trying to think, is there any other way I can get around this? I think this is an okay compromise, considering what I am currently dealing with. Is it the best? Definitely not, but it does work, and sometimes we just have to accept that, right? So this is going to be to monster, and that's a pointer, so we have to dereference it afterward. And then the param is just the var, which leaves the strategy, which should be e2 monster get strategy name. It should be to get strategy name. We did this. Get strategy name. So that's probably the best we're gonna get without doing too much more crazy work. Which, fair, that's probably gonna have to do. So we're gonna say config f here with, where did I write that? In here? Warrior right click ability duration. Also, I'm a little upset that my scroll wheel on my mouse is dying. I hate it when it does that, because I use them often. Okay, so var f is undefined. Oh, we have to call operator underscore f because we can't put that right next to there. So yeah, this is operator underscore f, passing in var. That should work. I hope. It still doesn't. Wait, that's undefined? Okay, where is that defined? Types. Operator. Oh, is it a member? Search in project, please. Operator underscore F. Oh, you need these. I forgot. Okay, that's why. That's in... Okay, yeah, that should be defined. Just typoed it. Cool. Oh, and these will be different too. This will be underscore I, this will be underscore S. So... hopefully you're good now? Really? Wait. That's old. Too few arguments in function call. What else does it need? Oh, we need the length of the string? Really? It's kind of dumb. Okay. I feel like there should be a string version that incorporates that for me. That's not fair. That's dumb. So these are assumed to be strings, so we just have to do dot length. Okay. So now it's happy. We can use this throughout to set... Oh, maybe it's not happy. Expression must have class type as type const char pointer. No conversion from string to... Oh, it has to be a char pointer. Okay, so we have to do dot data. Fair. Alright. Are you happy now? Finally work? Let's see. Well, now it doesn't think this is a string, right? So doing that fixes that? Okay. I see. I see. Okay. So if I did that, it would work. Oh, what? So it spits out this, else it spits out this. Am I missing like a parens? Oh, I have too many parens. Okay. Alright, we did it. God. Okay. So that's gonna have to be used wherever we have these variables. So like, for example, when we do add buff, again, we're gonna have to make another one called slow amount. So we'll be using config f there instead. I feel like I should be able to just tack this on inside the macro. I shouldn't have to like manually do this. Let me see. If I just put like a space here, will that satisfy it? I feel like it's gonna break, but let me see. Yeah, now it's broken. Which, fair. I could just wrap in like standard string, right? Technically. It'll be yeah. It's a constructor of standard string. Naturally. I wonder if that's slow. Making a standard string out of, what is it? A string view is very expensive. I wonder if this is slow too. I kind of feel like it is. But then again, maybe not. I think the reason why string view is so slow is because it's not an actual string. Like, it has to be an object actually constructed. I feel like a string already... If you have a const char pointer, the string already exists somewhere in memory. You're not allocating any memory to make it. I think that's okay. I kind of want to test real quick. Let's just see how long it takes to generate 100,000 strings. We do standard string view my string and define like a... Well, I guess we can make it inline too, right? We'll just say like... We'll just do a standard string converted string like hello world. Do I need to up my C++ version? Oh, I probably have to... It probably doesn't know what SV is, actually. I probably have to, like, include it. Include string... So if we include string view here... Damn, it still doesn't know what the symbol is. Is it, like... string views literals or something? String view literals? Include... Or maybe using... standard literals, string literals, string view literals. I mean, it's in there. I forget what we do for this. There's like string view literals. How do we include this? Good time to learn, I guess. String view lit. Maybe just look for SV. Maybe it'll pop up. Standard literals defined in string view, so it should pop up. User defined literal not found. It's not user defined. I promise. I'm not making this up. Using oh, we have to use the namespace. Okay. Otherwise it's like in namespace standard literals. There we go. Okay. Thank you. So, anyways, we're gonna do this like a bunch. And we're gonna compare that to converting a lec. We're gonna convert it to like converting just a string, right? Wait, that's not how you do it. It's just want to make sure I'm typing the right number. I is greater than 0. I minus minus. Okay. And maybe for good measure, we'll just make it do something. I really don't want to test it with C out. That doesn't really... That's not really what I want. I want to do like... I want to do something tangible, like reverse it or something. I think that's fair. Standard reverse? No instance snare reverse matches the argument list. Is it like iterators? Oh, it is. So the assumption is that this will reverse all the strings and return them. Let me just see if it works real quick. It's likely gonna be the same thing over and over, of course, but the idea is that every iteration, it will do a conversion from standard string view to string view. Also, Rasmus, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. So convert string is reversed as expected. So the whole point is it just does something tangible. So I just want to see, like, timing wise, how long it takes to do this versus, I guess this is really what we're trying to do. I don't know if I really have to time it. It's probably pretty fast though. I feel like maybe I need to do like 10 million or something. And then maybe that'll matter. I think done 2 was a lot faster. At least it felt that way. Let me try one more time. So that was about like almost 8 seconds. That was about maybe 6 or so. They're kind of close, which is a little more than a little faster than I was expecting actually. Maybe I'll actually test it. Or I'll actually time it. Let me just pull a timer real quick from Chrono. I have an example here for doing that, so I'll just use that. Let me see, where is duration? Oh, I am in duration. Why isn't... I must be think of a different example. Might have to look it up. There is a timing mechanism in here too, so I might just be able to use that. Let's look for chrono. Okay, yes. So I need these two time points. One before and one after, right? And then how do we utilize them? So grab now for both. I assume we only adjust TP2 when it finishes. So standard chrono system clock. Theoretically, the second version should be slower because it has to run string lengths. Really? That's interesting. I wonder why. So string view... Doesn't string view have to like copy each character though? Isn't that irrelevant? This has to run string length though? Why? String length would return... Okay, so it's like, it looks through to find null, right? Like null character. This doesn't care about string length? It just copies until it hits null? Is that what happens? That's my guess. Because string... No, but string... Well, I guess string can count while iterating. Like, I guess I would have to actually look at the source, right? Or the implementation. Which is like... I don't know if I'm gonna find it in here. It's like, what would I be looking for? Like, I'm actually looking for operator string to string view. Which is like... Shoot. And we could look at this. Right? So, string view stores size. Oh, it does. You're right. So, in theory, string len should make it take more time. In theory. But I'm thinking just like allocation-wise, right? Because string view doesn't exist anywhere. Like, no memory exists for string view. So, string view is referencing memory from somewhere else. So, creating a new string instance requires an allocation, right? I feel like in my head, like, that makes it take longer. That's the reason. I guess the const chart pointer, you're doing the same thing though, so then that's irrelevant. Yeah, the more I think about it, I'm like, that is technically the same thing for the chart pointer. So I guess that doesn't matter. So basically, what I'm hearing is that it probably takes an irrelevant difference in amount of time, so I probably should just not worry about it. I was just curious. I would have to like... Are you saying for my test I would have to grab something that is constructed at runtime in order to make this test more true to its nature? Something retrieved from runtime that's unknown? But then again, it's like I just make a string here that it would copy from, right? So that doesn't really change much. Like, if I were to think optimization-wise, it's like, okay, well, this knows it gets it from here if we were to run that code, so it would effectively be the same thing. The part that takes long is this. I don't know, just thinking out loud in my head, like, could go around testing all this, I could look at code, but in my head that's like how I envision it. So I'm like, man, this is where C++ gets really like annoying. It's like I don't quite know exactly what's going on under the hood. You have to really like dig in if you want to know. And these questions get like, when you start talking about optimization, it's like, oh my god, it's such a rabbit hole. It's so intimidating. Okay, well, let's get back to this anyway. So, my whole thing was just like, okay, does this take a long time? Probably doesn't matter. If it ends up running slow, then we'll look at it. Which is what we always do. So, yeah. Block timer. So this block timer only exists for players. But we want the block to be available for monsters too. So effectively this needs to be available. And I was contemplating whether I wanted that in the entity class or I wanted it in... Well, it is tied to the monster. It's like the monster should hold it and the entity should return the reference to the block timer variable. A suffering journey? I wouldn't say suffering, it's more like... It's fascinating that, like, these kinds of questions require so much understanding and research to figure out, right? Like, to me, that's fascinating. That just shows how... that shit really shows under the hood what kind of complexities you're dealing with and how much your perspective on, like, your understanding of computers at a lower level determines the answers to these questions. So you'd say you have no clue what languages like Python or JS are doing under the hood, and with C++ you can use Godot to look at the assembly. That is true. Like, we could take those pieces of code I wrote earlier, throw them in Godbolt, look at them, and be like, oh, this is doing all this while this other one does less. Like, you can look instruction for instruction, what's going on. Versus, yeah, an interpreted language, it's like, well, I don't quite know what this translates to on my machine. There's so many layers and confusion. So I like that perspective. That's actually true. We can figure it out easier than we can going the other way. I like that perspective. Anyway, so we need to add a block timer in our monster class, which is like, okay, I'll just throw it right here. Presumably the block timer goes down, so we need to probably update our, like, I'm just gonna look at player as a reference, but I think it's just a counting down timer. I don't expect it to be anything fancy. Although there might be more references to it than I originally thought, so we could do something like that over here on update or update. It might just be called update. Let's just look at current document, please. There it is. Just throw it right at the top here. But yeah, we just say set the block timer. Oh, you know what? The block timer will determine, like, what's going on graphically. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, like, add some more code. Because I know in the player, while the character is blocking, they have a different, animation going. So it's like, I'm gonna have to include that animation in the monsters as well. But the drawing is handled in Adventures in Lastoria, so we're gonna go here. I might just have an isBlocking function, actually. Current block? What? Blocking? Block timer? Okay. Oh, we just have the state set to block. which changes what graphic we're using. Okay. So we have that as well. I guess I'll just go to the draw function here and kind of throw that in. Something similar, like if you're blocking, we can even make the assumption you are the warrior monster, so there is that, but we have to change the sprite, so it's like we can draw a bubble. The bubble has to change depending on the size of the monster. Where is draw or render monster? Right here. So I have draw base monster, this is for overlaid stuff on top. I mean, we could just change the overlay sprite. We can actually use this. That's probably fine, and it auto resizes. So, I mean, that's perfect. That's what we want. So let's just do that then. Let's use what we already got. Set state to blocking. Blocking determine... Yeah, we can just say if block timer is greater than over here. What else sets the overlay sprite, though? Like, I still want to include... I guess I just still want to include, like, others, because I might be using this for something else, so I don't really want to override the behavior. I lost my spot. Yeah, I'm just gonna duplicate this line. I forget the... I always do it by accident, and then I can never replicate it. It's like... Or maybe that's in VS Code. I know I do it in VS Code a lot. Edit. Duplicate is Control D. Cool. Good to know. And then we're gonna use graphics block.png. Resized proper if block timer is greater than 0. Okay. That seems fine. So now over here, we want to do like get block timer instead. Block timer. I don't want to do get because usually when I use get, it implies like I can't modify it. So then I like to omit it, and that reminds me, oh, I can actually modify it. Or I can just make a set block timer too, because that's kind of what we're doing there. Set block timer. But then we have a set state, which I'm not going to use for monsters. And then we do have to get the block timer again down here. So it's like, what we could do is we can say float reference block timer, get block timer or something. But again, then I don't want to call it get. I just want to call it, like, I don't know. Float ref. Float ref indicates that it's going to be a reference, so maybe I'll go that route. I like that better. The determination on whether I get a reference back is then based on what I'm seeing out there, which I like. So in here, so we're going to purposely return a reference. That way we can actually modify it if we want to. And then for both, we just return the variable itself. So call class function, I think we just say return block. Wait, how does this work? Because it'll be like, it's gonna call return on it, right? Yes. So we just say, we just put the variable name in there. I think that's all we have to do. Okay. Does that not work? Player block timer, oh, inaccessible. Yeah, I probably have to make it accessible for both, which I guess is fine. Friend class entity. And then that is happy. Okay. So back here, we can say get block timer on entity, and then modify it here, and pass it there. Too few arguments. Oh. That was just a copy-paste error. Alright. Fixed? Maybe? It says it's still inaccessible. Does it not know what an entity is? Oh. Or I forget a semicolon, of course. And then we have set state, and that's just gonna be if we have a player. So if E is friendly, I'll do E to player, set state. And then add buff. Both should have an add buff function. Although there are a lot of overloads for it, so I'm just gonna add one and hope that's gonna hold for now. Because there are multiple versions of this add buff function, which is gonna be like, am I gonna have to implement all of them eventually? So we actually have to look at the one for the player add buff. I think the player doesn't have as many, but there's still a couple. Oh, there's 8. That's a lot. Semicolon is a constant enemy. It is. 1, 2, 3. It looks like the very basic one, like this one right here. So I'm just gonna do that one for now, the simplest of them. So we're gonna go to entity. We're gonna go to add buff. So it looks like we're gonna do something like this. And both should have it. I don't expect them not to. Both monsters and players, that is. So this should just be call class function add buff, passing in all these. Type, duration, and intensity. This one's not working. Oh, monster block timer is also inaccessible. Of course. So I gotta add that in too. Friend class monster or entity. Okay. Now that's happy. Okay. So with that, technically the warrior block now also works for a monster if they were to execute it. I guess we could try it and see what happens. I guess what I need to do now is make it so I have this monster on in-game, so I guess we gotta add that now. So that we can actually test this stuff. And then we just have to call the function whenever it's time to actually block. So I guess we get to write a little bit of AI code now. Let's go in. I think I just literally dropped in the warrior sprite sheet last time, so I'm gonna have to modify a little bit because monster sprite sheets don't quite match up with the player sprite sheet. Hopefully for obvious reasons in that they weren't designed that way. So these are walks. We also need to define idle, sword swing, and enchanted sword swing. I guess there's not really an animation for block, it just kind of happens. Yeah. So let's do this. There's gonna be 1, 2, 3, I guess 4 animations. 24. They're 24 by 24, so I need 1, 2, 4 times 4 is 16 times 24. So 384 pixels tall. Okay. Then I get to move all you down here. And I think I have to change the orders of these because I think it's supposed to go like northeast, southwest. But these are like completely different. That can just be copy pasted. And oh, also these are going to be like shadow sprites, so I actually need to modify like this color to be something like this color or maybe this color, just a darker color. That way it's not the same as the player, if the player were to encounter them. Also, we're gonna need to incorporate the thief sprites because it's going to use thief stuff too, so I might as well grab that now and incorporate it into the sprite sheet. It's gonna all have to be combined. Hopefully it's not too, like, I'm pretty sure I based the base sprite of Thief off of the warrior sprites, so I don't think, like, I'll have issues with sizing or anything. I shouldn't. Mythical pull here, 473 days of game programming, yes. Yes, yes, indeed. Okay, this is the sprite sheet. Okay. I don't know why these are here. That's interesting. They're probably used for something initially. But I know we have... Yeah, I don't know what these are for. Honestly. Let me see. Let me see what the defines for these animations are. Let's go to, like... Let's go to Thief. Let me just see. Among all the abilities, like, do we mess with the animations here? And if so, what do we do? Swing sword. Idle. And that's it. Oh, thank you. I appreciate the support. And yeah, C++ is fun, if not a little bit hectic at times. But yeah, highly recommend. It's a fun language to learn. Okay, I'm just gonna do this. So, warrior plus thief. Actually, these are like the same. I don't think I need to, like, the changed color ones, like, I just have a palette swap thing for them. So I don't think I need to worry about this one. It's like, if the monster's buffed, we'll be applying a buff to it anyway. On a scale of 1 through 10, comparing it to Python. In terms of difficulty, or in terms of how much I like it? Because I like C++ way more than Python, personally. But in terms of, like, difficulty, I think C++ has more complexities and nuance to it. Versus Python, it's literally variable equals 42. Or nice equals 69, and then you're on your way. For difficulty, yeah, Python is much easier. I actually recommend Python for beginners, like beginner programmers, so I think it's a good language for learning. Oh, you said on a scale of 1 to 10. I mean, I learned a lot of it in the last 6 years I've been working on it, so I probably put it at like an 8 or a 9. It's not... Like, 10 would be like, this is basically gonna take your entire lifetime to learn. So I wouldn't put it in that category. Probably give it an 8. Maybe a 9, depending on what you're learning. Okay. Anyway, we have to define the animations for this monster, so... This is called Warrior plus Thief. There is a space in it, which kind of annoys me. I'm going to undo that because I have the strategy called Warrior plus Thief. So I'm going to make it more consistent here. And then we'll go ahead and implement this monster into the game real quick, and then we can add some behavior for auto-blocking and see what happens. I think my idea for defensives was we were gonna assign, like, each monster a smartness rating. So one monster will be, like, instant reaction. It will always use its defensive the moment it's about to get hit. So it will always avoid one attack, which is annoying. There'll be one monster that will always, like, that might use it. Like, there's a % chance. And another one that will just use it before it gets hit, like, way earlier. So it might still get hit. Just like, yeah. Speed of C++ learning is Python. I agree to a degree. I think you also want to incorporate, like, C in learning. Like Python and C for learning. I love C for learning how a computer works. Exactly. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, C makes you appreciate what these other languages do for you, and gives you an understanding of how you would go about implementing what these higher level languages do for you. Python was good for practicing algorithms, yeah. I agree with that. Okay, so I just removed the plus sign, I think. I'm just gonna do it again here, just to be safe. Okay. Good. So I'm gonna go in here under monsters, and I'm just gonna add the warrior plus the thief monster. Now, my game designer did give me, like, health values. What I'm probably gonna do is take the previous, the chapter 3 end boss, and divide its health by 3. Because yes, while it will have the same amount of health, like total health, as the chapter 3 bosses, and you'll clearly be stronger after chapter 4, the fact that there's 3 of them, and they'll have, like, more powerful attacks, plus they'll be able to dodge some attacks. Makes it so they probably shouldn't be more tankier than the previous boss. The previous boss was called, I think it was the octopus? Okay. So we'll take this 42,000 health and we'll divide it by 3. I think that's a good starting point. I am going to verify with my game designer if they intended to use a certain amount of health. But I think taking this and dividing it by 3 is a good starting point. So 14,000 HP, which is fine. I'm just going to copy this other boss real quick. Go ahead and paste. You raged at Pygame? I've made a few games in Pygame. That was a good learning experience. Although I kind of make them in... I made them in the style of, like, game maker language. Literally took all the... Oops. Took all the functions and, like, tried to re-implement them in Pygame. But that was, like, the way I understood them at the time. Because my game development started with Game Maker, so... that was all I knew, and what I tried to redo. If I could, like in my head, it was like, if I had all the functions that GameMaker had implemented in another language, it's as simple as just using it in the same way, right? Obviously, I ended up growing out of that, but that was clearly what I had to work with before. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'm just going to leave it at 40 for now. Size, we'll just make normal. Move speed, normal. Boss indicator. Collision radius is not that. Let's auto-define that one. Don't ignore collisions. Strategy is warrior plus thief. Warrior plus thief. And sheet frame size is 24 by 24. It is a 4-way sprite sheet. Oh yeah, we have to check on that too. I think the directions are wrong. Python is a toddler. I actually disagree, mostly because it's actually used for a lot of, like, applications involving, like, statistics, data analysis, and such, but, and it's also not that slow. Like, I think the slowness is overemphasized. Usually, if you're using Python and it's very slow, it's because you're not using it right. Same can be said for C. If you're using C and it's slower than Python, it's because you used it wrong. You didn't implement a good algorithm. So it's not... I really don't consider the speed thing because it's more hinged on who the programmer is and the implementation. But it is very beginner friendly. The only syntax rule in Python is the silly... I mean, obviously it has syntax, but like the white space thing, which I find a little dumb. Personally, but that's my gripe about the language. I'm like, stupid white space. Let me white space how I want, when I want. Okay, so yeah, it is northeast southwest. Great. It's annoying. Let me make another layer. North. Let's take north and east first. So it's like, I'm gonna take half this sheet, condense it and move it back up. Also snap to grid, that would help. I'm gonna have to do this at some point anyway, so might as well get done with now. Goes in here. Peel up by 24. And then we take all of these sprites, the bottom sprites, and they're gonna be second row. I hate how Python has the limitation of mobile computing. What does that mean? I never heard that before. And then we have the down-facing sprites, which are right here. Okay. And then the left-facing sprites. It has a limitation as in you cannot? Is that what you're trying to say? I've never considered that before. I don't really do or know anything about mobile development. Like, the farthest I've gone is taking some program I made, compiling it with them script in, and having it be used on a mobile device via the web. So, which is the closest I'm gonna get to mobile. And that's fine. I'm not... Honestly, for me, I don't really know what to do, what to think of mobile. I'm like... I can't imagine like making or playing a game on a mobile device, like at least not like those touchscreen devices, like phones, the like iPhones, the right? Like I can't imagine making an interesting game for that system. I've never thought about it. And like I know games like try to circumvent the controls thing by doing like on-screen touch controls. It just never feels right to me. Like I never could understand, like it just doesn't feel good. Which is why I think a lot of mobile games, like the gacha games, are a lot more popular for that genre, because it's like if it involves like a touchscreen and you can just press a bunch of buttons and menu through a bunch of stuff, then that's like ideal for that kind of platform. And that's really it. The Made with Unity logo? Yeah. Development for Apple devices is very cursed. The most I'll do is compile this game for Mac, and that's as far as I'll go. I don't really have the intention of actually making it for a portable device. I mean, it was cool to see this playing on the Steam Deck. Like, this game does run just fine on the Steam Deck, controls and all. But that's because it's basically a computer with controllers attached to it. So, it kind of works for that. What was I doing? I was, okay, playing this in here, because I'm like, this is missing. I need to know what the slow amount is supposed to be based on blocking. So for Warrior, it's 0.3, 30%. So I'm just gonna do the same over here. It doesn't have an exact date, so I've mostly been telling people that if I continue at the rate I am going at, I'm probably gonna finish it sometime near like October, November. Because the idea is this chapter will take, like, we're almost done with this chapter, right? So you're thinking like, let's say this chapter's done by the beginning of May. Chapter 5, let's say 2 months pass. And then we're in August, and then you basically have to like do polishing and playtesting. So plus 2 months. Like, you're looking, starting October, we can say maybe we'll start considering release. Like, but it's not like I don't have a boss, I don't have a strict time schedule. It just gets released when it does, when I am happy with the game. And when my game designer is happy with the game. Like, this isn't something that has a strict timeline. So yeah. To answer your question, I usually tell people the expectation or my wish is to get out by the end of the year. But of course, this project originally wanted to be released at the end of 2024, or excuse me, at the beginning of 2025 or the end of 2024 during its second year of development. So the fact that that didn't happen just goes to show that anything can happen with development, especially for like an indie developer, right? So there's never any like guarantees or promises, and I'm willing to push back the game as far as I need to make it the way I want to make it. I'm not gonna release it like half-assed. But yeah, I'm glad to hear like a lot of folks are excited. Like, it's good to get support from people, you know? It does motivate me, so I really appreciate that. I've been programming consistently over the last few weeks. Like, I've been streaming a lot, and I've been programming and working on this game a lot, so it's a very good sign that we're making good headway. Like, I'm very motivated at this point in time. So this project started a little over 3 years ago. And so, yeah. Although, we lost, basically, the reason why it's only like day 400 something is because, for one, I stopped streaming on weekends at some point, and then the other was I literally burnt out during the last year. So like, if we just look at this, you can see there were no commits. Almost for a good like 6 months, right? Because life started happening and I was like in a burnout phase. And that happens, right? That happens when you have these very long-term projects. You've been working so much and you're like, okay, I really need a break. So yeah. It's just project this long, like you're running a marathon, right? You're not doing a sprint. And so I've gotten to the point where I've realized that a couple of good hours of coding per day is much more productive and helpful than trying to do like 8 hours every day for a week. Like, it's very unproductive and you get burned out very quickly versus what I do now. So I'm in a very good spot right now, is what I'll say. I found a good rhythm. A very good rhythm. Plus the game, I've been working on the game for a long time, made a lot of improvements, so the code base has become a lot easier to work with despite the complexity of it. Like, when I'm working on it, people are like, oh my god, there's so much going on, there's so many weird things in here. It's like, yeah, but at the same time, it used to be a lot worse, and over the years, I've improved the processes a lot, so the project used to look a lot messier than this, I promise. And this is like, this has become my largest programming project to date, so that's a big accomplishment. It's hard to beat that. My previous project, or my largest previous project, was a Minecraft plugin that I maintained for 6 years, and it became very large, so that was definitely a milestone for me, and to beat that is an achievement in and of itself. So I'm very happy about that, and I've learned a lot doing this project. There's a lot of good things I took from this project and a lot of bad things I took, and we get to live with all the consequences of it. So yeah, that's kind of a quick summary of what's been happening with this project over the last few years. I do like that, yes. That's another thing with live streaming, is that I get to enjoy with viewers. It's always been like my dream to just have like people to talk to and share what I love to do, because I've been programming for over 20 years, so like to be able to share like my experiences and knowledge is amazing. It's fun. Like, I've been streaming since like the Justin TV days, and nobody knew me back then, but I just did, and I've come a long ways in a lot of spheres, so it's awesome. It's really awesome to see. Yeah, of course. Of course. I need to add this monster to our list of monsters in monster tile sets, and then incorporate it into the actual map, and then get it to spawn, and then write some AI code, and then we can test it real quick. And then we'll pretty much be back on our way to working on more ability stuff. I'm just trying to get everything settled here. Alright. Yeah. Yeah, Justin TV. It's like, who's Justin? And why is he on TV? But yeah, little did I know that was gonna, like, even before Justin TV, I was streaming on another service called livestream.com. I think it was literally just livestream.com, as funny enough, and it was so like archaic versus what we have nowadays. It was like, I had to use like their very specific software, and it was very buggy. I didn't have a good computer at the time. Like, naturally, computers in like 2000... like 9 and 10, like video streaming was very much like hard to do for most people in general, so it was just literally for me. I cannot find a person who does C++, Vulkan, math, and Blender. I feel like you should be able to find someone like that. That's probably not too far away. I know that Cherno does Vulkan for his game engines. That might be a good starting point. He also has reviewed a few projects that have used Vulkan too, so I don't know. There's definitely something there you could look into. Just saying. Just ideas. Okay, now I have to open tiled because we have to actually make a reference to this monster. I don't know why it opens like 40 map files every time I do this. I need to like, can I just save the project? Like, save, export, let me just close this. I think it's because like my computer restarts without me like saving changes and then it doesn't remember. Okay, anyway, let me go in our testing map. No, not testing map. The monster tileset map. And then I'll go ahead and add our new guy. Just throw him in there. And then we will call you warrior plus thief. Monster class. Yeah, I am aware of like the stuff that has changed with him lately, so it's just like it's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. Like he's got a lot of past content is what I'm trying to say. It might help with like finding something, right? But I'm sure there's plenty of others out there, like smaller content creators that you could probably find, I'm sure. Follow Micah, apparently, on Twitch TV, Micah314, Micah Pie. They stream every day on Twitch, but they use BGFX. I don't know what BGFX is. I don't know, I'm just saying what other people are telling me, because I don't know. That's cool, though. Got to have other programmers around that love to share what they do. That's like my favorite part, like... People that really love what they're doing and are passionate for their projects should be, you know, supporting each other. That's part of the fun. Okay. And then I'm just gonna throw this in like 4-2 right now. It's supposed to be a... I mean, I guess I could throw it in boss map just for testing, right? Let's like remove this guy, put in different... I guess that would work actually. Let's do that. So I'll just delete you. For now, for funsies, and let's just put in you, because you are supposed to be a boss, so set spawner to this spawner, and set... I think we have to go to map and... Well, I'm just gonna leave the map boss text as is. I don't think I'm gonna change it. Is it in here? No, I think it's in... I forgot how this works. It's been a minute. Oh, here it is. You just set the boss... Let me see. Boss arena bounds. Oh, you put a boss title display here. Okay, yeah, that works. We're just gonna say it's Ghost of Pirate Captain. It's not, but that'll just give us a place to test, and then we need to make a new strategy, monster strategy. And we gotta call it Warrior Thief. Warrior plus Thief. I don't think I could put a plus sign because that's an operator. So it's just gonna have to be Warrior Thief. Which is fine. And the actual name is Warrior plus Thief. So BGFX is middleware on top of DirectX, Vulkan, OpenGL, Metal, and more. Ooh, that actually sounds really nice. Quite low level, but you don't need to write a lot of boilerplate. That's kind of fun. That definitely sounds cool. I just haven't heard that before, but yeah, that does sound nice if you just kind of get control over multiple rendering APIs. I'm sure there's people out there. There's a lot of programmer types out there. You'll find someone, I promise. Okay. Why is this complaining? There's no... Okay, I just did that, so that should be fine now. Hopefully. It's just IntelliSense is probably being slow, and I'll just make a new source file for this. Let's copy do nothing. Hello? Oh. Visual Studio wants to be dumb right now. Thank you. And... Come on. Any day now. God. We have to go to, I think, File View to make this copy. Just a thing with Visual Studio. Okay. Now we're in the folder view. We can do a... We can mess with this, so I'm just gonna copy the do nothing file. Goodness. This is screeching to a halt. Okay. I don't know why it just won't let me paste in here. That's kind of annoying. I was kind of... Wait, what? It doesn't even let me copy. What's the point of this? Yeah, what's the point of that if I can't... Oh my god, I can't. It's like there's no keyboard controls here. Or there's no right-click context menu here. Anyways, I'm never using this menu again. This was a terrible experience. Okay. Anyway. Go back. And we're gonna put this inside of Monster Strategies. Oh, it's not even in here. Add existing item. Yeah. One of the big annoying things about Visual Studio, in my opinion, is it's got some weird rules regarding the solution view and the folder views, and yeah, that part to me is a pretty big mess. While there are a lot of good things about this ID, there are a lot of bad things as well. It's just such a giant piece of software. Okay. So for some reason this isn't being recognized. I don't know why. Did I add it to the wrong enum? Like, okay, so there's a monster strategy enum. Apparently there's a monster strategy. Oh, okay, yes. We have to make a new static function for it too. I'm like, I swear I added the enum. Okay, now we're good. I think. I hope. Hi Rosen, this is an action-adventure role-playing game that I'm working on. We're currently working on the 4th chapter. There are supposed to be 5 total. So we're a little more than halfway done with the game. My projects don't get this big, but I like using VS Code and CMake instead of Studio. I was using Studio for a while, but that was partly because I was also developing on Linux, like for the first 2 years of this project. I eventually ran into an issue with Clang D deciding it was no longer going to work, so I'm like, well, is there any IntelliSense that kind of works with my project that doesn't take 10 years and breaks? And apparently this one, IntelliSense in Visual Studio kind of holds, so I've been using it since. Also, the window management features are pretty good. Like, Visual Studio Code, the reason why I love it so much as well is because of the window management features. It's just really fluid and easy to change how everything is viewed really quickly. Okay, so in here, let's just say if it gets within a small distance of the player, it will perform a block. That's just an easy piece of logic to test this out. It technically doesn't have a cooldown, so maybe we should probably implement that as well. It's gonna need a cooldown. So we're gonna have to define a cooldown. I mean, the block cooldown is over here. So it'll be like, I'll just copy that for now. But we're gonna have to make a pool of cooldowns too. It'll be like warrior right click ability cooldown or something. Go ahead and put that there. And then we can grab that variable. We can just say distance to player, util distance. We're gonna need the player, which means we're gonna need Adventures in Listoria to grab the game include, which contains the player pointer. Include game. And then we can do util distance from us, get pause, to game, get player, get pause. And then from there we can say if distance to player is less than, I don't know, let's just do like 100 pixels for now. And we're gonna need to store a cooldown somewhere, so we're gonna need a state to initialize stuff in. So state, or we're calling these phases for monsters. Phase, so we have the init phase, and we have the run phase or update phase. So we're gonna need to switch based on the current phase for both cases. Oops. Like so. And then run will have these two statements, and then init will initialize some kind of cooldown variable that keeps track of the shield block time. In fact, we'll probably just make a new attribute. So let's go to monster attribute and make one. Let's call it shield block cooldown. Let's just call it defensive cooldown. We can reuse this variable for the other two classes we're gonna have to implement this for. So they can all share this. So in here, we'll just say a new float. Using the key defensive cooldown is going to be set equal to 0. We'll make sure we're counting it down each time. Subtracted by the game's elapsed time. And make sure the cooldown is less than or equal to 0. That means it's ready. And then we can use it and set the defensive cooldown back to the cooldown timer defined in this variable. So we just say config float, passing in that name. And then we have to actually activate the block. So this is where hopefully, my code modifications we were making earlier are going to start coming into play, because all we should be able to do now is call the static function warrior, this would be right-click ability, dot action, and it should just be a lambda, and then we pass in the entity, which is us, followed by, I hate that it just says args. Why does it say args? I think it just means the targeting position, which we can pass in as 0, 0, or we can pass in as the monster's position. Doesn't matter here. Like that. And we have to actually call it, right? Like, this is, wait. So dot action is the function. This is calling it. What is wrong here? No instance matches argument list. Oh, it doesn't... We have to, like, actually create a new monster. You know what? I think that it needs a pointer. I think that's the problem. I don't think it initializes with... there we go. Yes. It initializes with the pointer. So with that in place, it actually calls the exact same function that we would for a player warrior. And in this case, we wrote code that kind of works in either scenario. Just adding a couple of checks and writing a couple of entity functions to handle both types. So now I guess we get to try it. So the hope here is that it will actually block when we get close to it. Oh, we have syntax errors. Standard function invalid template argument on line 92 of ability.h. What do you mean? Invalid template argument for ty type was expected. I mean, bool, entity, maybe entity's not defined right? Let me see. Let's go a little further and see what happened. Oh, that's it? That's all it tells me. That's odd. Oh yeah, it says here, entity undeclared identifier. Cool. Okay, so now this is an ability.h, so if I include entity.h, will we run into problems? Entity includes these 5 headers. I don't think we'll have any issues. Let me check buff. Buff's like the biggest one. Okay, that looks fine to me. These look okay. I think we're good. We just have to make sure there won't ever be any, like, circular references, because that's going to give us headaches. So I should fix that, hopefully. I might close this for now. It's kinda... I have, like, a picture-in-picture thing with my other computer, my Linux computer. It's kind of blocking my screen. Maybe? No? Oh, there we go. Okay. I, like, freaked out for a little bit. Okay. Should be okay now. I just wanted to take it off that monitor for a little bit. Okay, so... And if this works, we can just proceed with the rest of the warrior abilities. Like, I feel like this is the play. It feels nice. I get to control both the enemy and monster behaviors inside one place, which was kind of the objective, so I like this approach. It does make the code a little more verbose, but I guess that's the cost. It's like, the other way would have been to copy-paste this code and then have 2 places with this stuff, which I kind of didn't... I wasn't really sold on being a good idea. Okay, since we changed this, yes, all the places where we used this before now error out, which makes sense. So we get to change all this out. Before they just accepted like the player directly, now it's going to be based on an entity, which means we're passing in, well, for this, we're just literally saying, okay, pass in whatever entity, but like, yeah, if we don't even use it there, so it's not gonna matter. It's going to be matter wherever we do use it, though. We have to pass in the player pointer instead of that, so we'll probably see that pretty soon. Let me just grab all these other ones real quick, because there's gonna be a couple. Oh, I'm got to change each class too. That's right. So we're gonna have to let's just go through this. So let's do a find and replace of this with entity E. We'll just do it in everything. In fact, I kind of want to review before we actually commit this, so let's do it in here instead, where we can say find all or replace all, and it would tell us. I guess here, we'll do this. We'll do find all. That way we can observe like everything we're changing. Like these are fine. Oh, these are the only ones. Okay, well, good. Those are the ones we want to change, so we're gonna do that then. So let's do a replace all. So we should be good. Unless I broke it. What happened? Oh, I got rid of... Oh, man. I didn't actually fill in the replace. Okay. Do that one more time. Oops. Should be entity E. Okay. We're good. Oh, I see. We're gonna have to change everything before we can even run it. That's kind of annoying. What I could do as a temporary fix is just say, just assume, because we're not calling these in monsters except for the warrior block one. We can just say entity E. Oh wait. We can just say player pointer P equals E dot to player. Just as like a temporary fix for this. If we do that everywhere we just replaced, then we should be good. So I'm gonna undo... Wait, oops. Keep that. I'm gonna undo what I just did one more time. And for now, as like a hack, we're just gonna find and replace with that line in there too. Let's go. So we're gonna find it. We're gonna include the opening curly brace. And then we're just gonna insert in that line that statement as well. Player pointer P equals E dot to player. Okay. And that should hold out temporarily and let us actually compile without having to make those changes for the time being. So now these are okay. And later we'll fix these up and remove those lines. I really should add like to-do comments. Let's do that. That way I don't forget in case I'm trying to do this later. So we're gonna say replace this with to-do at the end. Okay, replace all. Okay. Good. Alright, now let's try build, and we just have to replace the last few that require pointers instead of the objects themselves. So yeah, like here, what is it complaining about? M is an undeclared identifier. This is... what is it? Wait, what? Oh, I never changed this back. I was demonstrating something earlier. Okay. Oops. Still got about 30 minutes of coding time for today. Alright, what happened? Okay. So these are... oh, another place where these were used. That's fine. Entity... So funny enough, I used the item ability, or I made the item abilities use the same exact action class as the character abilities. String literal after operator must be the empty string. Huh? String literal after the operator... after operator must be the empty string. Line 124. After the operator. What? What does that mean? I'm so confused. I'm just gonna try like a rebuild. I don't know what that means, because that doesn't really make sense. Can this go away, please? Generate the CMake cache to refresh. How about we just don't? Can I just not have this be a thing? Like, why does it need this information for CMake? I don't even use CMake for Visual Studio. C++ IntelliSense information may be out of date. Generate the CMake cache to refresh. But why? What does it need it for? Like, what benefit do I get from it doing that? It looks like I'm just getting like a CMake error, which is weird. I don't want that. It shouldn't be doing, like, did I turn on something to use CMake? That should not have been a thing. I don't remember doing that. It just says Ninja. Oh, here we go. Generator Ninja does not match the generator used previously. MingW makefiles. Either remove the CMake cache file and CMake files directory, or choose a different binary directory. I just don't want it to do CMake stuff. Maybe I should just like restart Visual Studio. I don't like what it's doing right now. I've never seen this before. I think it was happening after I went into that folder view. It was being like, it started popping up all that CMake stuff. Which maybe it like became aware of it or something. Okay, so we still get this string literal after operator must be empty string. Did I like miss a parenthesis or something? String literal after operator. So I know in here we're using string literals. It's just like, is this what is causing the issue? I don't think so. Like, these are resolved correctly, as far as I can tell. Yeah, that looks fine to me. I guess we'll look it up. What does it mean? Let me see. What is this? C367? Okay. Can I get my Visual Studio? Why am I having a hard time finding this? Can I just click this? I think I can click it, right? Click, 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 click. That doesn't help me. Oh, here. Okay, yes. It just took 10 years. So 357. 3507? Oh, 367. 36. Wait. These are like in the thousands. Where's the smaller numbers? 367. Okay, well, let's just type it. 367. Oh, that's wonderful. String literal after operator. Does it think like, is there like a space in operator? Is that what's happening? String literal after operator. So like this must be the empty string. I don't understand what that would mean. This is strange. Did I like type something I wasn't supposed to here? Like this was working fine earlier. Okay, well, here's the idea then. Let's just, what if we comment out everything? Is it okay? Do you compile? It looks like it's building now, so there's something in here that's messing everything up. So I have a feeling it's the new stuff I added here. I'm gonna have to look at that. Something's wrong with it. Yeah. I wonder if it's this, but then again, I feel like it should know what that is. Okay, yeah. And my game started, but I'm not running it yet. I don't want to run it. Okay, I have to figure out what's going on. Right. Okay. Well, my assumption is it's these two lines with the macros in them. Like, let's just confirm that real quick. I'm just gonna replace them with numbers. And for this, it's a slow amount, so like 0.3 or whatever. Okay. So does this compile? It looks like it... Oh, it failed. Okay, so we get unresolved external symbol gets state, entity gets state on warrior. Really? Oh, it is indeed not defined. Oh, this is where I was talking about, like, okay, so this is dependent on whether we're friendly or not, but I still needed to implement it. Or I need to say 2-player, right? Because it was like, I did realize that it was like a no-op for a player or a monster. So then I wanted to do instead, because it's friendly, it's a player, we just say E2-player instead. We decided to go this route, which makes more sense. Okay. Let me try to build this. So this build's okay. So that makes me wonder, like, was that error the reason why it couldn't compile the other line earlier, right? Like, why didn't it just tell me that was the issue? I guess maybe the macro was causing it to, like, have something else occur, and then... I don't know. I have no explanation for that. Okay, build. Maybe it'll work now? It's still saying it. Line 124. It does say... just say 4 if that helps, like... 1, 2, 3, 4... Like, clearly these are the problem. So... we must analyze. String literal after operator. Oh, so it thinks... I guess it's thinking this is like a string literal. Instead of treating all this... like, is this not how I do this? How do I call this operator then? Do I have to call, like, the namespace? That's just global namespace. How do I... oh wait, there's a space in it. Wait. Is that literally how I'm supposed to do it? Ah, shit. Maybe that was it. Okay, let me try that. Does that build? Okay, it's recompiling, so maybe it'll work this time. Fingers crossed. But yes, I guess the majority of tomorrow will be converting every single player action into player and monster splits. So that'll be fun. But at least we have a way forward. Like, either way, we were gonna have to code up every single ability anyways, because at least according to the information I got from my game designer, he wants all of these monsters capable of doing all the 4 special abilities that the player can do on these same classes. So no matter what the AI ends up being, we have to make sure that all 4 actions can be executed by the monster AI as well. Additionally, if any of them produce like effects or bullets, we need to make sure that that's allowed. Okay, it's still doing this. How do we call operator whatever we made? How do we call a user-defined literal string literal operator? Maybe we can just... let's look at CPP ref first. Maybe there's an example. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever... if there's an example for this. It's like operator ... something, right? Like, that's... member access... like, it wouldn't be a member, because it's like... unless... hold on. I mean, should I try it like this? Like, I doubt that matters. Oh, also I need to change it... well, I did change it in here, right? I'm just gonna expand this for now, so I don't have to keep recompiling. Let me just try that real quick. 'Cause I don't know, this is weird. Yeah, string literal after operator must be the empty string. I mean, it is, right? Like, this is an empty string. Agree? It says it must be empty string. It is. This is... like, I'm a little annoyed that it's not recognizing that. And what's weirder is it's pointing down here. So what does that mean? Why is it complaining about the error being here, of all places? I don't know. Is the parenthesis, like, wrong? Let me see. parenthesis is... Okay, so that one's correct, and then we have get float, which goes out to here, so that's correct too. So, like, the parentheses match up, as far as I can tell. So it's not that. Streaming every day. I try to, right? Sometimes stuff comes up, and I've been pretty busy lately, so I try. But yes, last week was kind of a special case. I was helping a friend with a big web project, so that was fun. That's why this morning I was like prop drilling, because I'm like, God dang it. Damn it, React. You got me saying prop drilling. Concept I hated. Okay. What do I do for a living? Right now, I am unemployed. I'm just enjoying time off with a bunch of money. And that is all. That's why I'm trying to complete my game before I find another job. I'm not depending on income from this game. I don't expect this game to really sell that much. But I do want to spend time not working to do something fun. So that's what I've been doing. I got my first ever follow-up interview email during this stream. Really? Oh, congrats. I'm proud. That's awesome. But yeah, I don't do anything for a living right now. I guess I just do this. This is what I do. I'm just having fun. What? Okay, so I need to know, how do I call C++, user defined string literal. It's not a string literal though, is it? User defined string literal. No, it is a string literal operator. Well, I guess we get to read this page anyway. I figured we would be back here no matter what. Okay. Yes. Like, if I define this, let's just test this in an example project. Like, I don't think this is the issue. I'm pretty sure this is fine. Like, I did a rebuild, right? Like, I did a full rebuild. So, like, somehow this is popping up. So if I make a user-defined literal, like, int operator underscore s provide, right? Like, let's just say a float or something. Float. Decimal. This is like a cast, essentially, right? And I say return int. I mean, it'll implicitly cast, but should look like that, right? Oh, with the space. With the space, though, I think. A literal operator cannot be a member of a class. What? Oh, I'm in a class. Oops. Get out of there. Is this just not invalid floating point parameter type for literal operator expected long double? Oh, okay. Well, apparently that's a thing. We're gonna do a long double. I think a double is the same as a long double. I'm pretty sure. Oh, apparently it's not. Okay, good to know. I am unemployed too. Okay. Well, hopefully it's by choice and not by circumstance. Because that would be unfortunate. And if so, I hope you find a job soon. Let me do this. So like 4.37 underscore s int num. Okay. So that's that. And then I can do operator. Okay, so let me think about this for a second. If it has to be in the global scope, right? Then is this just not a thing? Like, I can't do this? So then what would I do if I can't do this? Long double decimal. So like, again, 4.66, just as an example, right? Can I not do that? Int num2. Alright, let's see if that compiles. So this does compile. Okay. So unlike my other project, this actually does compile. So this is allowed. And I assume it works. Like, let me just make sure, right? This should work. Okay, yes, it converts it to 4. So, we know that's the syntax. That's... So, I put a space... Wait, did I remove the space by accident? I think I'm supposed... Okay, maybe I Okay, hold on. Let me rebuild this. Maybe I screwed up. But yes, I will be on break for... Well, the goal is to complete this game, then go find a job. That's my goal. Like, I was talking about with a friend the other day. I think it would be really, like, fun to have a job for, like, 2 or 3 years, just pile up some savings, then take, like, a year break and do what I want. Then go get a job again and keep doing the same thing. I think that's a lot more... It sounds a lot more fun. Like, it lets me do what I want, but also live, I guess. That sounds a lot more fun. So I think I'm gonna do that. I don't know what's going on. This is, like... This is bizarre. Like, what is this? Okay, for all intents and purposes, let me just replace these with actual functions, right? Let's just try to get this to compile normally, I guess. Let's just say, call them like, what would I call this? Well, first of all, this is supposed to convert them. So I would need the information from those functions, which are in, I don't even know where, config? Okay, from config, right? So these guys, wait, does this even include config? Is that my issue? Like, it doesn't know what these are? Okay, they're included. Okay, well, let me actually, like, do this, right? Because in theory, these are, at the end of the day, these are just functions. So why can't I use them like I want to? Like, let me just put these in a lambda real quick. Auto get float. That's essentially what we're trying to do here. Is this lambda function, and then call get float in replacement of this and this. In theory, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Does this build? That explains every question in my mind. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad it does. It looks like this is building. Okay. So I need to figure out what is wrong with the other code then. Because we know it's not like nothing inside the function is wrong. It's literally just me going from this to operator empty string underscore f, which is defined. So what happened? What is wrong? Also, yeah, what is wrong with this? Rebuild. Yeah, then we get this again. String literal after operator must be the empty string. Like, the only thing I could think of is a mismatched parenthesis, but then we just replaced this name with another function, so it's not mismatched parentheses. It has to be complaining about, like, this empty string thing here, but it's like, unless... Is there some weird, like, precedence thing going on here? Like, does this question mark, like, do something here it's not supposed to? Hold on. I don't think that's the case. Like, does the operator keyword have weird precedence or something? That can't be the case, right? There's no way. Is the operator keyword in here? I don't think so. Like, what precedence does the operator keyword have? Do we even know? I don't think... I think it's just considered a general keyword, and... But I don't know what that would mean. I don't think that's... Can I do it up here by chance? I wonder. Can I, like, call... Right? Can I just call operator F in here? What if I just do that, right? What would that do? Because now it's... If it's gonna complain, it would complain at a different line and position, right? In theory. If it was gonna complain somewhere. Line 127, position 4. So it still goes here, which is like, why? Let me just... Okay, let me just get rid of that line, right? Just like, do that. Does it move? Okay, it does move. And it's following that brace. Fascinating. What are we dealing with here? String literal after operator. Must be the empty string. I have no clue what's going on. Do we just want to like... Okay, new idea. I'm going to take everything in this file and delete this file. And then I'm going to make a new file. And I'm going to put everything in that file. This is wild. Like, I can't accept that using that function name and not being able to use operator is the solution. Because it doesn't make any sense to me. I have to know what is wrong here. Also, where's warrior? I don't even know where this file is. Warrior. Oh, player classes. Okay. I'm gonna delete this now. Goodbye. Delete. And then we're just gonna add another source file inside of player classes called, surprise, surprise, warrior.cpp. I'm just gonna paste everything and I'm gonna rebuild. Okay. Well, it's still doing it. It does say position 3 instead of 4. Oh, it's because it's one less indented now because of the, I think, the auto formatting. Wait, is that right? Why is... Hold on. Is that indentation wrong? So is there a problem here? Let me see. There must be, right? If it auto indented there, am I... No, that matches there, so that's not... Something's... This is indented here. I think it just didn't indent this line, which is why everything's messed up. Yeah. I think it just auto-indented weird. Not the way I would auto-indent. Anyway, wait, it doesn't build? Yeah, it doesn't build when this is in here. The moment I take it out, it's fine. Like, what is different between this and my example? That's the real question. I mean, the only difference is where I put it in the file. Like, I put this one at the top of the file, right? So it's right here. It's also in a different color. Like, I don't want to say that's... Function operator S can be made static. Also, it's weird that it has this. Like, kind of see that has, like... like, when I hover over it, it's like, it literally says this, which is like, what? I'm so confused. It's like, what? Function operator S can be made static. What is that? Oh, like static int? I forget how that works. Is that what I have to do? Like, it's a different color, which is concerning for me in the sense that I don't know why it's a different color. Oh, you know what? It's a different color because this is a different Visual Studio. So ignore that part, right? I mean, I could try to make it static. I don't see how that would change it. Apparently you don't need the space either, you can just do this. So it look like that? Okay, full rebuild. But I'm just thinking... I must be missing something with this syntax, and I don't understand what. It's clearly something wrong. If I have to do this, like, that's dumb. Well, that's the thing. Even this doesn't work. Like, I had to put the actual code. I'm not sure how I would go upon searching that. Like, let's see what other documentation says. Literals, user-defined literals. Literal operators. Wait, what? Are these a thing? Is this like... Oh, these are user-defined. Okay, yes. What a cooked literal? In source code, any literal, whether user-defined or not, is a sequence of alphanumeric characters. The compiler interprets the sequence as an integer, float, const, or string, and so on. User-defined literal accepts as input whatever type the compiler assigned to the literal value is informally known as static function, declared but not defined. Oh. Yeah, if I make it static, then I have to move the operator, or I have to move the code into there, which is like, fine. I can. I just want to know if this changes anything, because that would be hilarious. Oh, I have to... I can define this somewhere else, can't I? I don't know, I'm just Do I really want to do that? I have to define it in a different place then. Laverne, thanks for the follow. Refollow? Maybe. Looks familiar. Looks very familiar. Where are these? Okay, just gonna undo. Okay, new idea. Maybe that include I added did create a circular include. Like, think about it. If it does this weird stuff, then it might cause a circular include somehow. Like, let's say... Okay, in theory... Well, config doesn't include much, so I don't know how that would actually cause anything to occur. Include error. Like, nope. I don't think that's it. Like... Because what did I add? I added... Shoot, I forget. Maybe from years ago. Yeah. I just recognized it, that's all. Okay. Well, I guess... So we know... Let's just... Oh, God. Okay. So, let's just go with what we know right now. So right now, we know that if we were to take this code and import it directly into this function and call getFloat, we know our game compiles. So it's just a matter of why doesn't the operator function that we use work here? It's a big question. It's something I will probably mess around later. What I want to try, and maybe it'll tell me more, is I want to try compiling this in GCC. Maybe GCC will actually tell me what's wrong. That would actually be really nice. I would like to know, right? Because maybe there's something else I'm missing that this compiler can't detect. Is it really weird? Yes, but that's my theory right now. I'm gonna turn on... Yeah, I'm putting back on the picture-in-picture thing because I want to mess with that later. And this window got moved. So yeah, I think that's what I'll experiment with later today. And then hopefully I'll have that question answered tomorrow. But in my head, I'm like, okay, so if this compiles and the operator whatever doesn't, then either I'm using it wrong or there's something wrong with this compiler with the way that works. Because it's like, it's weird that the error points down here, right? It's like something got parsed incorrectly or something. I'd be very surprised if it was like a compiler bug or something, but because they're very, very rare and I've never had to deal with one before. And if we end up with weird behavior like this, that's my explanation right now, at least, right? Because now we're fully built and the code is exactly identical to what I intended. So, yeah, it's just that one keyword plus the quotation marks and _f changes everything. And why, right? Maybe another compiler will tell us, who knows? The joys of coding. Anyway, I am out of coding time for today, so I'm going to call it here. But we know where we're at and where we're going. We kind of had a lot of behind-the-scenes architecture set up today in preparations for what's to come. So we'll be exploring more of that in tomorrow. So thank you for tuning in as well. Appreciate it. And for those others that tuned in today, thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. See you soon.